Ich weiß nicht, ob man mich überhaupt schon hört. Es hört sich nicht wirklich danach an.
Ich denke schon.
Und wäre auch total klasse, wenn wir so mindestens 2 Sekunden vorher Bescheid kriegen würden, wenn wir drauf sind. Aber ist nicht schlimm, wir sind hier und das ist auch gut so, denn wir haben Peter Molyneux auch jetzt endlich im Konsolenbereich und nachdem er sich bei den PC-Lern so ein bisschen profiliert hat, haben wir uns gedacht, okay, der Junge hat was drauf, der darf auch gerne mal in den Konsolenbereich kommen. Finally, you're here, Peter. We talked about it a lot, and I'm really glad you found.
Yes.
You found something you can present in the console.
Well,
section.
it's taken a while, and you know, Fable has been in the making now for 4 years, and we're only just confident enough now to start showing it off.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it's an amazing game. I had the opportunity to play a little bit.
Well, it's not quite balanced yet. You know, we've got a bit of work to do with the control mechanism, but you know, it is. I've always wanted to make a role-playing game. I mean, the first role-playing game I ever played was called Wizardry, and that was about 15 years ago. I lost my first girlfriend to that game, and I've just been playing them ever since. And there came an opportunity to make one, and I just snapped it up.
Perfect. Simon, he's a big fan of your game.
First I have to say I'm a really huge fan, so it's not very difficult to convince me.
Well, I mean, it's...
But now let's get straight to the game. Let's get to Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay, Metal Gear Solid 3. Well, that's a great game. It's fun. No, it's called Fable. It's a role-playing game, and it's kind of different from other role-playing games, because other role-playing games, you get given a character and you've got to play the role of it. This game, the character itself watches you play the game and will change to reflect what sort of player you're like. But the first thing I really want to show on the game is the combat stuff. We sort of specialise in simulations. We've done simulations in Black and White. We've done simulations in Dungeon Keeper. We specialise in creating worlds. We can do that stuff, and I'm going to show that a little bit later. But the first thing I want to talk about is combat, because really, without combat, a role-playing game is nothing. So let's talk a little bit about the combat. So the first thing is you've got to have cool weapons. You've got to have lots of cool weapons, and you've got to be able to make your own cool weapons. So you can create your own weapons using an augmentation system. You create the greatest sword of all time. There are lots of different weapons in the world. The second thing is you must be able to mix your combat. You must be able to use range combat and sword play and magic all together. The more different type of combat you use, the more your character will change. So Simon's just come out into a situation now. He's faced some bandits and they've asked for some gold. No way am I going to give them any of my gold. I mean, I've got a very big sword.
I have a big sword.
Yeah, and I haven't got much gold. So he's going to take them on. Now, he's fighting them. Now, the first unique thing you notice is that the combat pulls other combat people into play. You can take on up to 16 combatants all at once.
Okay.
And you can mix all of your sword play up. And every successful one, he's just using a bit of magic there. Well, that's called a battle charm.
Can you use magic from the beginning, or you have to learn it?
You can use magic from the beginning. We have got 21 different magic disciplines that you can learn. Each one of those disciplines you can go up in the different levels. So that was a battle charge. You can keep on going levels in that. The other unique thing about the combat system is the more successful combat you do, the more it multiplies your experience up. And this is a very, very unique element, meaning that your character can change in ways that have never been like before. So he's struggling a little bit here, being taken them on, but he's doing all right. So do you want to use a little bit more magic, Simon? Maybe to preserve? He's actually parrying out. This is a Burning Hands spell. This
it looks pretty nice.
When it starts off, it's pretty weak and feeble, but by the end, it can get really powerful. And that's what we wanted, people to specialise in, having heroes that are totally unique to themselves.
Will all character classes be able to make magic? Or will they only be the magician?
Absolutely. The more you use magic, the more magic you are able to create. So,
but even if you choose a warrior, you can use magic?
That you don't choose anything. That's the difference. Yeah. At the start of the game, you start up with a 15-year-old kid who looks like a farmer's at hand. If you don't use magic, you use swords a lot, by the end of the game he's going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's got huge muscles.
Like me. Yeah,
a bit like you. I mean, to be honest with you,
don't tell him.
You're not going to be the greatest hero of all time. You want about that much bigger. This bigger neck.
Okay.
And so if you use big swords, you're going to get like that. If you use stealth and if you use range combat, you're going to look more like Bruce Lee.
Well, no way.
And if you use magic, you're going to look a little bit like Gandalf. So if you use a combination of those, you can get a combination of those characters. And in the next bit, I'll show you what your character can look like and how it can morph. But the important thing is, we've spent years getting this combat system right. The other thing I should say is, we can't really demonstrate it here, Fable can be played up to 4-player, multiplayer cooperatively. All you do is you take your joypad out, plug it in there, no setup screens, you're in the world.
Will you be able to show it today, or is it
We can't
just
really
too
show it
buggy
today,
to show it?
unfortunately, because we need another
But
character.
it will be in the
But
game.
it will be in the, and will absolutely be in the game.
Why are you so fascinated by the idea of good and evil? I mean, it's through all your games.
Well, that's because sometimes I come home and I want to be just the meanest person. If I had a bad day, I want everything in this world to.
It's called Monday.
It's called Monday. Yeah. If I've had a good day, I want to be nice to people. And wouldn't it be fantastic to have a game where you don't have to be a good guy all the time, where you can be evil and you can walk into towns, you can do some really rude, horrible things to people. You can do some evil things in the world, you can do some nice things. You may see the princess on the top of the hill and you think, I'll save her, but let's see how far we can go afterwards, because I want a reward. And definitely in this game, you can chat up women, you can even get married, and you can have children. I won't go into the details of how you do that.
Okay, we will see a lot of good and evil stuff later. Ihr sollt auf jeden Fall dranbleiben. Fable, das absolute Rollenspielphänomen für die Xbox, dürft ihr auf gar keinen Fall verpassen.
Peter, one question. I mean, it's all about being good or being bad.
Yes.
How bad can you really be? I remember that one screenshot where you also able to kill a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
what's really mean?
We never released that screenshot. That was actually someone hacked into our system and found.
So
that
you were
screenshot.
just testing a little bit.
No,
just killing kids.
No problem here.
I sort of thought, wouldn't it be fantastic that in Fable to have kids? Because now games have kids in, and so we had this simulation and kids get up and they go to school and they go back. To my horror, I went into testing, this is about a year ago, and I went into testing, I looked at someone's screen and they were all dead. And this person had killed all these children. And I thought, my God, we can't have this, we can't have all these dude kids. So now, and that's where that screenshot was from the time when we had allowed you to kill anything in the world. So now, we make sure that you can't attack children, and in fact you can't use weapons in towns. But we would never have released that shot.
And how do you decide to be good or to bad? Is there some kind of question or multiple choice?
No.
Turning points? Or?
No, there are some quests that you can pick. Which obviously there's the evil quest about kidnapping people or killing people. There's good quests about saving people, but also just walking around in the world, and I'll show this later in the next segment. Yeah. Walking around the world, you just see someone being very horrible to someone else. If you choose to save them, you're being good. If you choose to join in, you're being
kill them all.
Okay, let's see a little bit more of Fable.
Okay, so what we're going to look at now is we're just going to be looking at some of the town stuff and some of the ways that your character can change. So this is a town called Oakvale. I'm known in this town already. They know I'm a bit of a hero. And we're just going to show you how your character can change. Now, Simon has taken all his clothes off. Not a good idea if you want to chat people up, incidentally. But
Not really. I tried it once.
Yeah, I tried it twice. Actually, I tried it 10 times.
But you're older. I mean,
that's right. And this looks a lot worse, I can tell you. So let's just have a look what your character would be like if he gets a little bit more evil. You can see his eyes change and they get darker. Now this doesn't happen like that. It happens slowly. So if you're doing evil stuff, you'll notice he gets a snarl, he'll stoop a little bit more. His whole demeanor will look evil. If he starts looking a little bit stronger, because you've been using more weapons, he develops an exceptional hairy chest. Of course, we got the Union Jack underpants. That's one item of clothes that you can't change. If he starts getting a little bit more mystical, if he uses his magic more, then he'll start aging more, and he'll look a little bit more mystical. So you can see now he's a little bit strong and a little bit magical. and he's a little bit older as well.
So you have hundreds of possible combinations the way you look.
Thousands of change. I've just shown you the the different segments of it. Actually, can you just make him older and a little bit more mystical?
What's about getting older in the game? Is it do you suddenly switch to an older character like in Zelda Ocarina of Time? Or
no, absolutely not. There's parts of the game which means that time passes, years pass. For example, there's one really cool bit in the game where you get thrown in prison, and you've developed your character. You're thrown in prison, all your weapons are taken away, and you have to find a way to escape from prison. You've only got one opportunity a year. Every year you mess it up,
you're getting
ages another year. You'll notice his hair starts growing really long, and he sort of loses his muscles a bit. And so it's things like that within the game. And also, there are events like you can go. I said you can go and get married. You can just hang out with your family for a while. So time will pass. It's up to you. I must admit, though, there are bits in the story which we have to encourage you to be a hero again. So sometimes your family meets with horrible accidents, which is not so good.
From time to time.
From time to time. So, also, clothes and weapons. There's a lot of clothes and weapons within the game. But we'll just wander through town now and...
Do you craft your own... Can you craft your own weapons and clothes, or do you always have to buy it?
Generally you have to buy clothes. You can craft your own weapons. You can augment...
Yeah, you mentioned it before, yeah.
You can augment your own weapons. But you can buy the clothing shop if you want. If you get enough money, you can actually buy the shop that's got the clothes. And you can buy a barber's, for example, and have your own haircut. You just see that Simon's walking through town. Everyone's cheering because he's a bit of a hero at the moment. He
looks really, really mean.
Yeah, well, he does. If you come towards, he's changed his look actually, and just in this cheat. Do you want to he's going to cheat again, and then become really mean. You see, this guy's running away because he's just cheated and become really mean. So this is the whole point, is whatever you do in the world, we really want players to experiment with stuff. He can walk into, look, that's the guard there, he said, just leave me alone. Let's go down.
Will you have voice samples in the game, in the final version?
Absolutely.
Because right now you have the text box.
I'll show you a bit of voice later on, but we haven't done the voiceovers yet, so they're all programmers' voices, and you don't want to hear them.
No, we just have to mention it that that's not the final version of the game.
Yeah, no,
so a lot will change.
Yeah, definitely. So can we go down to the pub side?
They love me.
Yeah, they do, because I'm a hero. They will. You'll notice that the people in the world will start dressing like you and cutting their hair like you, and they'll have the same. Because you're a bit of a pop star. If you're a hero, you are.
Lester, don't cheat, I kill them.
I'm sorry that we have to wait for our first pint, because we have a short break, and aber wir kommen gleich zurück und dann gibt's ein kleines Bierchen und noch jede Menge mehr von Fable. So, jetzt tue ich etwas, was mir sehr schwer fällt, denn ich halte den Mund, und stattdessen gehen wir wieder direkt in das Spiel, denn ich glaube, als erste TV-Sendung, die Fable wirklich in bewegten Bildern zu zeigen hat, müssen wir das auch tun und zeigen ein paar Bilder. Okay, let's get back into the game. Peter, what are we going to see now?
Well, it's just a little trivial thing. Simon's been walking around the world. He's just discovered that there's this kid just shouting at this beggar, and he's just being really rude to this beggar, and he's saying, I love to pick on this beggar. And I just wanted to show that you can learn things off him. He's been swearing at this beggar. Simon's learned to say the word shit. And so he chose to learn that. He didn't have to learn that. So now he can just swear at anybody he likes in the world. He can walk around and swear.
So let's point that out. You walk around, you see somebody swearing at his children or something like that, and
you learn that.
Call them really bad names. Like, I mean, you can say fuck on German TV. That's
you can.
That's a nice thing, because nobody understands it. Right, okay. You can say fuck or mother, whatever. But, so you can really, by seeing it, you can learn it.
You can learn it, and also it's got a little bit of expression on it. So because you can put it on these keys, on these keys here,
on the D-pad.
If you press it, you can go shit. So when we're playing cooperative, quite often we walk down as a band and we go shit, motherfucker, shit, and we're sort of rapping, doing our own rap. And you walk into a town like that, and people rap. Anyway, that's just a trivial thing. Let's have a look a bit more of a game.
It's a nice detail.
It's just Yeah, I think it's really funny, especially when you walk in and you see this huge dragon, and all three of us go, shit! And that is just as...
Holy moly!
Yeah. Now, this is the guild. This is where all the heroes come to get their quests.
Okay.
There are some cool things about the guild. The player comes back here a lot to get new quests all the time. He also comes back here to boast. One of the things you can do, another thing you can do in the within Fable is you can get a quest like, for example, well, are there any quests? There are no quests at the moment. There's one example where you have to protect this farm.
Yeah.
You have to protect this farm against all these bandits. You can then stand on this podium and say, right, I'm going to do this without losing any life at all. I'm going to do this without any of the farmhands dying. So what you're doing is saying, not only I'm going to do this quest, I'm going to boast and do it much more, and then your rewards get much higher. But let's from here, you can see that there are a few tourists around. This is one of your followers. He's following you around. You're so famous now, you've got a follower. He'll follow you around.
Groupies?
You have groupies.
Perfect.
But the trouble is, your groupies, they're not fighters. If you go into a dangerous situation, your groupies can get killed. And that's, not so good. But they're always encouraging to do so. Let's go off and do a quest. Can we go off to the, maybe do the graveyard?
Peter, you already mentioned that it would be able to marry.
Yes.
Will it also be able to be in a homosexual relationship?
Do you know, I've been asked this a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot of people asking that question.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's easier to allow that than it is not to allow it. And certainly we may do a special German version, which you... I don't know, it's just a lot of questions I've heard. I mean, see, but makeup and...
Germans are really liberal, so...
Yes. Well, I mean, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't. It's easier for us to allow that than to not allow it. Anyway, this is the... we're just coming up to the graveyard, and as you can see, it's a bit misty and it's a bit mystical. There's puzzles within Fable, as you would expect in role-playing games. And this particular puzzle, you have to locate some objects. Yeah. The way to do that is to use sound. But what I really wanted to show is some of the more dramatic combat. So why don't you go into the tomb and see if you can to find some few things to kill off.
This version, to what percentage is it finished?
We've done. We've actually built 90% of the world now. We've balanced about 30 or 40% of the world. So most of the rest of the game that we do is about balancing. We've got all your powers are in there. We're not showing that you've got these things called epic powers, which we're not showing. So we've got everything. We've got everything there, but I still reckon it's only about 60 to 70%. Okay. We need at least another 6 to 9 months to balance and refine and make sure that everything's.
So when will we have the opportunity to go out and buy it?
Well, GIGA always asks me this question. This is the second time I've been asked this.
I'm really interested in that.
I would say it's going to be next year.
It's like showing them, that's a nice cake, but you can't have it.
You can't have it. Well, it's definitely going to be. It's going to be. I would say middle of next year, probably.
Middle of next year.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's incredibly hard to say because every weapon can be augmented and changed. Every person's abilities can be unique. All the simulations need to be balanced, and that is a hell of a lot of work.
Would it be possible to release it on another platform than Xbox?
We're thinking a possibility of a PC version. But there's so much of the game is refined around the joypad, to be honest with you. That's a bit of work.
Okay.
Just have a quick look at this.
Yeah, I think we'll see the battle. I hope we saw the battle, because we have to come to an end. Peter, thank you very much. Simon, thank you very much. Leider müssen wir schon zum Ende kommen, aber ich glaube, wir werden den Peter davon überzeugen, dass er auf jeden Fall.
Es wird Zeit.
Genau.
Er muss kommen.
Und mal der in die Sendung kommt, verdammt! Ich weiß nicht mehr, was ich sagen will. Raus jetzt.
GIGA Games, Peter. Großartig.